Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, back with one of my favorite games of all time, Bullet. And in this case, I'm doing something a little bit different because I've done so many playthroughs of the game on the channel. I just got a review copy of the new Bullet Cube storage solution that also includes some new characters and sets. And I want to do a review and kind of ranking of all of the sets, my favorites and least favorites. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. You can also listen to our weekly podcast for reviews and design discussions, or join the conversation and say hi on our Discord. So first, a quick disclaimer. You might have heard that I have designed an official solo mode for the upcoming Exceed Skytear season. That is through Skytear Games. They are the ones who contracted me. They are the ones who are paying me for the solo mode, so it's not directly connected to Level 99 at all. But, Level 99 is one of my favorite publishers of all time, and I have made my unofficial solo variant for Exceed for many years. So I definitely still have a close connection to the company, just getting that out there. All right, so let's talk about this Bullet Cube. First of all, I think this works great. It's a really nice storage solution. So you flip this up. You get places to put all your boards and things. You get a little plastic container here for special tokens and the little power-ups. Boards for all the characters, the little narrative things if you kept those. And then if you pick it up, you've got two boxes inside, room for bags and bullets. I've got the wooden ones in here, and actually two sets of bags from Heart and Star. And to show you one of these, they just kind of open up like that. I have everything unsleeved. I don't sleeve games most of the time. And I can fit every single character in one box. I will note that I had a few of my sets sleeved, and I had kind of bigger sleeves than average. And the cards, while they fit, were kind of tightly packed in here with the sleeves. So if you do get sleeves, if you are a sleever, I would recommend getting ones that are really tight to the top of your card so they fit well. But they have really lovely, it's kind of hard to see, but these are super thick plastic, as far as I can tell, dividers for all the characters. Now, they do only have one divider per character, not for the character and their boss side. So you have to keep the boss and regular character cards behind one divider. Not a big deal, but just something to note. So yeah, what do I think of the Cube? I think it's great. Honestly, I don't usually use these storage solution kind of things because, I like to have my own janky storage. But this one takes up just about the same amount of space as all the stuff that I had in my collection before. Again, at least for me, it's still got room for lots more characters. If you sleeve with really thick sleeves, that might not be the case. And yeah, I think the Cube is great, but that's not really the main event here. I'm going to go through all 10 releases, promo characters, and main releases. And I think most of them are still available on the Level 99 store or elsewhere. So I'm not just saying these things for no one to benefit from it. Hopefully it's actually helpful. But this is going to be a little bit of a buying guide and ranking of all the expansions. Let's get to it. Starting at number 10 at the bottom, I've got Ichthyos. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. This is a new promo character that came with my Cube, although I think you'll be able to buy it separately soon. And I rank all the promo characters lower than everything else just because the value is not as good. The promo's MSRP, I believe, is around $12 or $13 for one character, whereas the 4 character sets cost $25, so you're already getting twice as many people for the price. And then the main sets cost $50 for 8, which is kind of the same calculus in terms of characters for price. So you're sort of paying twice as much for the promo characters, and I don't think any of them are that amazing to justify that. But I think Ichthyos is the most basic of all of them. Basically, she can discard her hand and draw more cards, but like her special powers on her side aren't that great. Her patterns aren't that special, so she just kind of gives you some digging for cards. Her boss side is a bit more interesting in that the more cards in your discard pile, the worse things that happen with her pattern cards and her basic ability. And then her shield break powers make you discard patterns, so she's okay. There's nothing wrong with her, but of the 3 promos, I find her the least interesting. Next at number 9 is Anne Claire Forthwith. This was a Penny Arcade collaboration, and they also did a charity thing with this one. I did a video for that. But her cool thing is that she's got 2 decks of cards, plastic overlays and regular cards, and she creates combos for her pattern cards. A very cool, unique ability. Besides that, she's not doing anything too exciting, but she's pretty cool just for that. And then her boss side is okay. I don't find it too exciting. She has pretty tough patterns to deal with. But her big thing is you have to play 2 patterns in a row to hit her, basically, which can have weird combinations with some heroines, but still a somewhat interesting boss. But yeah, definitely her heroine kind of combining power thing is the standout here. And finally, number 8, my favorite promo character, and this is a new one. Now, this one I think was specifically included in the cube, so I'm not sure if it'll be sold separately. But man, this one is wacky because she has a whole rule book to herself. Now, it's not like she really needs it. Her powers aren't that complicated, but they throw in like a lot of fun flavor and humor in how they describe things for her. But when you get down to it, she's kind of like a combination of Senka and Mariel from the original Heart set, in that she has her own unique token, and her patterns rely on where that token is, but she doesn't need like anything else, so she can attack in really interesting ways. But then she can also do this plow thing where she uses her token to push other tokens, and if they land on top of another token, she clears them both. So very interesting gameplay with that. Just a really fun, cool new character. And then the boss is really interesting too, because they also have the token, and the cards for their patterns can't be blocked, and they force you to plow the token on your own board, and it'll clear bullets if it pushes them onto each other. So you have to really be careful of where it is, and you'll see when you break shields, it also plows. So just a very neat character overall. Again, unfortunately, not sure how easy it'll be to get. My favorite promo character, one of the cooler characters they've made in general, that's my number 8. All right, with promo characters out of the way, let's get into actual sets. I'm going to rank all of these. I'm not going to talk about necessarily every single character, just maybe the standouts for not good or good characters. And number 7 for me is the original Orange set with 4 characters. This is an expansion set that you still need a core set for, by the way. If you're just buying into Bullet, you need Heart or Star. Those are the only 2 that have all the actual components to play the game. But yeah, so these ones are fine. None of the heroes stand out to me too much. Maybe the most interesting is Mark, because she can move bullets freely. She can do this super attack where she clears all bullets of one color if she gets like a whole bunch together, although I don't get to use that very often. But she doesn't get anything for star clear, so she's just okay. And then Sora, at least for me, I find to be a very boring heroine, because all she does is she can clear bullets in specific areas of her sight for a very expensive cost, so I don't use it that often. And her whole thing is that she can switch between 3 weapons that lets her clear in different areas. But again, I'm not using it that much, so I don't really care about it. And then, yeah, Saguri and QP are just fine. Now, the one thing that does stand out a bit about this set is that the bosses are pretty cool. The Forest Witch is a good beginner boss, although she is a little bit too tanky and slow playing, maybe for teaching the game. Sora's 3 switching weapons actually become pretty interesting for the boss. And then both Red Barrel and Hyper Mode are among the hardest bosses in the game if you want a big challenge. But yeah, overall, the heroines just don't excite me, and the bosses are kind of too hard unless you are buying everything for the game and a veteran. So it's hard to recommend Orange too strongly. That's why it's my number 7. Next, at number 6 is the Paw set. These are all cat-themed characters. And kind of like with Orange, there aren't too many standouts. Aluros is kind of cool in that they have this separate deck of fear cards that can kind of adjust their play. And then their boss does a similar thing with their own fear cards, limiting you in different ways. And then Behemoth is pretty neat because they have 20 patterns, but they can get rid of some of them to use special abilities. So they got to kind of treat that as a second resource. I like that. But Beethoven's just okay. Whimsy is fun, but confusing because both for them and for the boss, you have to kind of do this calculus because they aren't just calling out for obvious bullets. You need to like see what the bullet means, but also see what the card needs. Don't get me wrong, it's actually very cool once you get playing with it, but it's probably one of the more obtuse and hard to get into characters on both sides. So not a bad set. Honestly, I don't think there are any bad sets for bullets. If you want to get all of them like I have, then I don't think you're going to be sad about it. But that's Paul, my number 6. Next at number 5 is the fan set, another really new one. If I remember correctly, I think this is based on suggestions from fans of the game, which is cool. The standout for me is Violet because both the boss version of her and her heroine side have upgrading cards. They start with these weaker patterns, but then they go into these much stronger patterns. I just love the idea of sort of like deck building within Bullet. Ulissa is also quite cool. I did a play for her on the channel because she's got patterns that flip, so you use it for a pattern, and then to send it back, you got to spend 2 actions, but you get to clear a bullet. So she kind of has this interesting economy with all of that. And her boss side forces you to do really terrible actions, or you lose the game automatically, but you can decide when to do them in your turn, so I think that's also pretty interesting. The other 2 are fine. Caitlyn handles damage a little bit differently, and her boss side has this overshield, but that just makes it kind of tanky and take longer, which I don't tend to love in bosses. And Sal is a dragon, and she really likes red and pink bullets and kind of plays around with her columns. So she's a little bit different kind of color-wise. I don't know. It feels a little niche and quirky, but not one that I love. So this, again, is a set with a mixed bag of characters, but still some pretty fun stuff. That's why Fan is my number 5. Next at number 4, I've got the Palette set. Starting with Bridget, she's super unique in that she's got tokens for each of the 5 colors above her columns, but she can swap them, and the bullets follow the color and ignore their original colors, so it can really let you mess with your sight in fun ways. Love that. And then she also uses colored tokens for her shield breaking effects, although this boss can get a little tanky again, so maybe not quite my favorite, but it's still cool. Shout is another awesome puzzly one, because she cares about the exact number of bullets in a column and can only fire off her patterns if the number works for the column, which is definitely brain burning and fun, and the boss has kind of their own riff on that. So she really changes the feel of the game in a cool way. And then Zuri is also really neat because she is comboing together a ton of pretty easy to fire off pattern cards. And then she gets a clear extra based on how big her combo got. She's like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the bullet character. So she's great. And then her boss totally switches things up. This one I'm a little bit more mixed on, although it is still pretty cool. Basically, we're playing horse with her. And if she can break all her shields before you can survive through all her patterns, then the boss wins. So it's kind of like a survival mode, which works pretty well here. There are a few of those in the base game characters too. It's never my favorite, but I like it okay. The only character that's just okay for me is Precursor Die. Basically, she rolls a die and she gets better abilities if she rolls a higher value. And then you're moving along this little roll and move thing for the boss side, and you have to like randomly roll a die to win. It's the one weak point in this set, but it's still unique. So that is Palette, my number 4. Next at number 3, this is where I have the last 4 character sets. So yes, both of the starter 8 character sets are my favorites. This is Orange Plus, and this surprised me because as you heard in the video, Orange is my least favorite of the 4 character sets. But this one for me is a big improvement. First, you've got Fernet. All of her attacks are basically aerial bombardments going down a column. Super neat. And she also has a super attack to clear bullets of a given color, kind of like Mark, but for me more interesting, and she actually has a star power this time. And the boss battle is all about vertical things as well. It only has one pattern that triggers every turn, but every time you break a shield, a token goes on the pattern and makes it harder and harder and harder to beat it. I think that's a really awesome mechanic. Hime lets you put bullets in your action section and then clear them from there or fire them all off. Like, what the heck? Just super cool. Nath is probably the weakest for me. Her whole thing is that she can get these power-ups from the competitive game and then use them, which is, pretty unique and gives her a lot of variety in her actions and abilities. But besides that, she's not doing anything too interesting, so she's pretty cool still. And then her boss side is to play with a timer. That's kind of it. So basically, both of them are kind of like, hey, if you're playing solo co-op, pretend that you're playing competitive in a way, which is, a fun concept. But yeah, she's the one, again, weak point for this set. But Yuki, what the heck, uses a poker deck, and you're basically playing blackjack with your patterns. You're putting cards on them and trying not to bust and go to 22. I do think it takes away a little bit from the actual pattern management and token management in the game because her patterns don't care where the tokens are generally. But it's still just such a cool concept and such a unique thing that I kind of love it. So that is, again, Orange Plus, my number 3 set for the game. So that means my number 1 and 2 set for the game are the 2 core sets, which I gotta say is a great thing because that means when you jump into the game, you're getting something good no matter what. So which one wins? Well, it's not Heart. Heart is my number 2 of all time. And don't get me wrong, it has great characters. I still love for playing all 8 of these characters. I mean, I guess S-Sphere is kind of basic, but you need basic characters sometimes. But Ling Ling and her calculation, Akolu with her 3 things, Marielle has this token that's moving around and can clear bullets. Ree gets to reflect bullets back at you. Adelaide uses colors in a fun way. Senka has her sniper tokens. Youngja's pushing tokens off the board. Just lots of really awesome ideas out of the gate. The very first set for Bullet is still a great one. The only negative here, and the only reason that it loses out to Star, is that the Bauk, Senka's boss side, is really boring. There are fan-made variants for this on BGG and such that make it a more interesting boss, so that all 8 of them work well, because really I like all 7 of the other bosses, but she's just like this little survival practice mode, and they already have time attack mode for the game, so I don't know why you need a practice mode boss and a time attack mode. It's the only miss in this set, the only thing that makes Star slightly edge it out. Although I will say the characters in this one compared to Star are a bit more straightforward. So if you're just getting into the game, Heart might be the easier sell, even though I like the Star character slightly better. And let's talk about why. For my number 1, you just got so much more unique things here. You've got Jane Doe, who has extra tokens in her bag, and you get cool bonuses when you draw them, changing up the game quite a bit. Memory has 20 patterns, but except for one recursion ability, she is stuck with those 20 patterns, so she has to find a way to win in a short amount of time. Nawa is insane, maybe the craziest character they'd come out with to that point, because she reverses patterns and actions. Her pattern cards are her actions and move things around, and where her board would usually have action, she has consistent patterns, and the boss is also calling for culinary treats and specific things to beat them. Super cool. Planiel's okay. She just kind of stores tokens around. Rose has really interesting patterns that she can rotate, and she can hurt herself to get extra actions. Vesta can explode, like do chain reactions. YNN is a little bit of a weak one, I guess, for co-op play. Well, I mean, it kind of works. Basically, she's got these event cards that can affect her or everybody else, which is great in competitive play. In co-op, it's kind of more niche whether it'll be helpful or not. And then the bosses are also quite varied. You've got a little survival mode one with Celestial Cleaning. And actually, you've got another survival mode with Juster Cardo. I forgot about that. Huh. Do the two survival ones, which I don't love, mean that actually maybe Star should be second because they only have Senka being kind of a weaker boss in the original set? But I like Behemoth. I guess I was focusing too much on... I love Knife and Fork. Planiel's pretty cool. And then Rose builds up her abilities. I don't know. I'm still going to stick with it, I guess. But yeah, I guess this is really ranking 1A and 1B. Both core sets are great. And it's a great game. Still one of my favorites of all time. I'm excited to play with more of these new characters. But I hope that was helpful for anybody just getting into Bullet or kind of processing your collection now that you've gotten the cube and gone all in, maybe. So thanks for watching, everybody. And a special thank you to our biggest Patreon supporters, J. William F., Steve Wren, KCW, Andrew R., and Chris C. We'll see you at the next stop.